When Stan Wallace joined Queensland Country Life in 1992, he was already a legend across Queensland. He had built a reputation as being the livestock agent whose word was his bond, and the deal he had helped strike between the buyer and the seller was the genuine interests of both parties. But it was the closure of Cannon Hill sale yards in Brisbane that marked the start of Stan Wallace's hugely successful career as a journalist. The man who had spent a lifetime in the agency industry and risen to the heights of Dalgety's, Queensland's livestock manager, was, as of that Monday, as Stan still likes to refer to himself, a cub reporter.
Stan, like me, was a charlable boy.
He followed his career then as a manager at Mitchell and Roma, where he did very well. People liked him, he was good at his work, and he became known as Old Son, the length and breadth of Queensland.
Stan has certainly had a huge impact through his time as an agent, and more recently, his time with the Queensland Country Life.
He's very sincere, he's so passionate about it, and his wonderful knowledge, which he's been able to contribute to everybody he's met and whatever he's done in life.
Initially, Stan began writing his instantly popular column by hand and sending the 7 or 8 pages of copy in by the still relatively new phenomenon that was the fax machine. Not that journalism was an instant fit for a bloke who spent a lifetime armed with a little more than a company-issued blue pocket book and a pencil as a way of keeping track of even the biggest livestock deal. Each week the entire column would be retyped and working with then market editor and now Queensland Country Life editor Mark Phelps. The column that was published each Thursday was the effort of hours of discussion and analysis to give Queensland Country Life readers a real insight into rural Queensland and in particular the cattle market.
I still remember the first time you came into the offices in 1992. You considered yourself a cub reporter then. It was certainly a very big change from the catwalks at Cannon Hill. I've certainly learned a lot from you and I look forward to a very long involvement yet.
I first encountered Stan when I was a young reporter with the Queensland Country Life based in Rockhampton, covering Beef 94.
I first met Stan when I joined the editorial team in Queensland Country Life in 1995. When I started in that role, the two people I really wanted to meet was Malcolm McCosker and Stan Wallace. In retrospect, it's one of the best things that he ever said yes to, and as you know, he's still pursuing that career, loving every minute of it.
But Stan's greatest strength from his first day with New Zealand Loan, later NZL, which was taken over by Dalgety, from working sale yards at Toogoolawah, Mitchell, Roma, Charleville, Miriam Vale or Cannon Hill, was his boundless enthusiasm and respect for the people he worked with and even competed against. As an example, Jim Scully.
Stan's biggest contribution to rural Queensland is his dedication and ability to talk to people in his capacity as Dalgety's chief auctioneer, of which he knew people from the length and breadth of Queensland. And I think someone said that he'd had a beer in every pub from Birdsville to Brisbane and Tweedheads to Cooktown. I don't know whether that's right or not.
In the very early 80s, as a result of the mergers, I found myself as a new boy at Dalgety, and I was a bit lonely, and I can clearly remember Stan coming to my office and saying, "Oh mate, how can I help? I'm your friend."
Stan was actually my father's and grandfather's stock agent at Toogoolawah.
A weekly get-together of the Cannon Hill sale yard where Stan would be selling and Al as a livestock buyer would be buying. And he had a great habit of forgetting that there was a 0.8. He would go 2-4 to the dollar, forget about the 0.8.
Stan was always ready to share an opportunity, especially it seemed when the going was tough in the bush. It was Stan Wallace who was there with the mob of steers that would ultimately put dollars in the bank for his clients. Stan brought that same honesty to his writing. Here is what is happening in the market, here's the people who are involved, and here's the opportunity.
I think Stan's ability to deliver uplifting news, he certainly explodes the myth that good news doesn't sell. I know a lot of people that look forward to buying their Country Life to see what Stan's got to say this week.
He always has interesting stories. He'll always present both sides of the story, whether it be the irrigation boys at St George or the live cattle trade. He will go and search out additional information that we all wait to hear.
He's been one of those guys who actually knows everybody. He's connected with so many people over the years. He's been a real conduit in the bush, and his impact and influence over so many people stems back many, many years now.
But of course, Stan is also known for his love of a good get-together with his mates. Often referred to as Queensland's oldest teenager, Stan has taken the loyal readers to almost every part of the globe on his study tour he organises with his close friend and travel expert Mel Haycott.
I was lucky enough to go with Stan early in his travelling life to Mexico, where we took a bus from one side of Mexico to the other, getting to know a lot of major producers in that area.
Stanley took me away and taught me how to judge cattle at a sale, find out early in the morning who's going to pay the most with which pen, and pick that, you'll never be wrong.
Stan's greatest supporter, of course, has been his wife Margie, who continues to hope that Stanley will one day appear in a picture where he is not holding a glass of red wine. Stan Wallace, good on you, old son. You're the best of the bush.
Larger than life. Everybody he meets, you are immediately my best mate.
Is unstoppable.
A mighty man.
A legend.
I think that Stan Wallace is a true connector.
Stanley, you're a legend, my little flower pot.
I think he's a positive, relational force of nature.
I think Stan is just the best of the bush.